that the world has to offer in this AI economy. My name is Miss Kim, and I'm joined by my lovely co host. I'll just give her the mic so she can introduce herself.
Yes. Good afternoon, Miss Kim, and hello, everyone who's joining us today. My name is Yodit Mulusi, and I'm excited to be here once again. I've been on this journey with Miss Kim now for quite a bit of time, and slowly but gradually getting bitten by the bug that has long bitten her, and very excited about what she has to share with us this afternoon. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you. And it's so good. I appreciate having you as part of this journey. And I think what I love so much about you is the authentic you and thinking about where we're coming from, that we're here now. Starting with, don't tell me about that thing. I
Yep.
must now it gets very exciting when I get a call in the morning. You're asking, so what do I do here in this? How do we navigate in this system? But I wanted to do this, it's not doing that. And it just excites me. It excites me.
I'm getting there.
You're doing a great job. Yeah. So, yes, here we are. We're still struggling with our youth unemployment. And I think we've seen it from Cape to Cairo, from New York to Tokyo. Job losses, massive job losses. And obviously, we have some issues with the economy as it is. And then, of course, we have some issues with automation of processes. And what we want to assess and discuss this afternoon and look at is it really doom and gloom? Is the so spoken about AI gold rush, snake oil businessmen they're selling to us? What the YouTubers are saying, some people are making millions, billionaires are getting born every day. And on the other side, we have people who can hardly get a meal. There's that huge disconnect. And we also want to demystify, is this a myth? Is it just a story? Is it just another facade that we're talking about and it's just going to melt down and we face life as is? Or is this factual? Is it here to stay? And then obviously we want to assess on how can Africa leverage on this? I think we've gotten to a point where we are so tired of discussing our problems because we know them. We know them. It gets draining. And yet, we always see, especially from the West, sometimes we looked at like, you guys are just sitting ducks. Look, we're coming to take your gold, your oil, your cocoa. There's just so much. You're the richest continent. What's happening? We're the youngest continent with 60% of our age group being youth under 35, and actually a lot of them under 25. And that should be our gold mine. But what do we do? Where are we at? And how do we refine this for it then to be pure gold that has potential? How do we stop the whole fiasco of our children going to work abroad and just to go and do odd jobs? Yet they have great potential. Is there talent in the continent? What do we do about that? What do you do about that talent? What is the missing link? So, as we again and again regurgitate and try to understand and to explain this, we also like it when we come and bring our own testimonies from what we've done and how we've been able to leverage on the tech space and much more AI, the use cases that are there, and to advise a small business person who is sitting somewhere wondering, what can I do? Everybody's saying I can take advantage of this. These are gold rush. What do I do? What are the tools that I can use? Where do I start from? I need skills. I need mentorship. I need access to these resources. So we love having these conversations, and you're welcome. If you are joining us from YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, I think we are live on all those platforms. You can post your questions and you can request to join us in the studio. We can slot you in for next Thursday. This is a conversation that we have every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We don't claim to have all the answers. There are things that we gladly say, we don't know. Let's ask AI. let's try to figure let's try to figure it out together. But then again, we've seen the potential and we are constantly talking to other experts in the industry. Obviously, sometimes some of the tools are launched in the first world before they get to Africa, but we are on social media. We have access to internet. We have access to tools that can be able to inform us so that we can help the farmer who is struggling with how to get their production better. Person doing some poultry chicken and wakes up and find all the chickens are sick. What do I do? Another person struggling with my yield is very good, but how do I take it to the market and how do I market it? Another person, some student somewhere struggling with, I need to finish a particular course, but I can't be able to pay for tuition. What can you do about all that? What solutions do we present to you? So, Miss Yodit, I know you always like starting with a few questions for me. Would you like to pose some?
Thank you, Ms. Kim, and thank you for that um, introduction. Oh, sorry for that introduction. I think what excites me um, more and more every time we have this conversation, Ms. Kim, and throughout the many discussions is, the potential that AI has or the opportunity that's presented for different folks right here within our community. So for those, small business people, men and women, the one woman show, a woman who doesn't have time to do HR, accounting, legal issues. I get very excited when I think about how that person can use technology and AI to support them so that they don't have to worry about it so much. They don't have the means to hire anyone at the moment, but they can reach to AI and you know get the tools, the different applications to solve some of the issues that they encounter. And then for the young people that you mentioned, there are young people are within communities. Every community has issues and problems and challenges. And here's a bright young person who has the potential to solve some of the problems. They just need to start by asking the right questions and identifying where they can go to access, the internet, which is so critical. And fortunately, here in Botswana, many of the public schools have internet, and you'll find in certain neighborhoods people sitting outside schools just so that they can access the internet. So the opportunities are there, Miss Kim. I think it's just now, tying it all together for them. So I'm a young person. I'm sitting in a village far from a major town, but I know that the high school or the secondary school where I am has internet. I appreciate that people in my village um, have a challenge with, I don't know, accessing medical supplies. There's flu, it's cold. How does a young person put together those tools that are readily available and start a business that will solve a problem within their communities? I think maybe if you could just start off with the very basics of what is it that you need to do as a young person before we jump into those who've already got established businesses and need support with HR or legal matters, etc. Let's start with that. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Miss Judith, and I'm glad you start with that person. I think is it this year or last year where we had more than 10,000 of our children did not pass Form 3, so they can't go to Form 4. So we're talking about we have more than 10,000 kids that are stuck at home between the age of maybe, let's say, 15 to 18. And that's very risky. I think as parents, when we are parenting, we always struggle with just school holiday, just those 3 weeks. Because if we keep them idle, they become mischievous. And that's why we try to make sure there's a community project that the kids are doing within our villages, within our homes, within our estates. So, yeah, that's very, very critical. But then, especially a case in point where I would mention like a case for Botswana, where we have smart boats. I think right now we have the chief's places with internet, and we have a lot of schools that are hotspots. Our cell phone penetration is on more than 80% smartphone penetration. That means literally every other household has access to a smartphone. That is the first asset a young person sitting at home should leverage and take advantage of. I understand it's not enough to just give youth smartphones and internet. There's mentorship that's needed. But if there's something I've experienced and have seen, like literally teachers, educators, even parents, people within the community, if you ever go to the person within your shopping center who is running the biggest shop, not even a supermarket, just a shop, and sit and ask, what challenges are you facing? That person would be more than happy to talk to you. How can I help you? Is it marketing? So, since I have my smartphone, what if I take some pictures for you? I post on Facebook and I mention when you have specials. If you know people came, walked for 2 kilometers and found there was no sugar and they were disappointed, can I just announce that sugar will come on Friday and Saturday? Can I keep the community engaged? How about if I go to the local school and meet the management and ask them? It's a little private school, it can even be a preschool, and it can also be a government school. How about if I help you market, promote your school just by just sharing information to parents out there? There's so much we can leverage on by use of internet. Now, take when we talk about technology disruption, AI. Right now, even if you don't know how to spell your name, you just know how to use a smartphone. You can design a flyer. You can create a little video. You can be a content creator. Every business needs a content creator because that's how we market ourselves. We need to tell the world what we're promoting. We need to tell the world what we have. If it's a school, you support them. I can help you design your timetable. I can make work easy for teachers by arranging the classes. I can communicate with the community and announce that Friday is service and make sure every parent knows. I can say that the kids' homework, there's a struggle and we need them to get the homework done. Excuse me. So there's literally, I can't even begin to count them, but there's just so much that you find. The next wave, what's happening right now, where we are heading to is AI is creating a lot of entrepreneurs. What now the campaign is, what skills do you have that you can use to create your own job? And if you feel you have a shortage of some skills, learn something. So we have so many platforms. I'll post after this, but we have so many free courses, some that we've created and some from global entities. Google has launched a very nice AI course. MIT constantly have courses. Literally every university always has a little course that's free. Start from there. And for me, Miss Judith, I think what I find the disconnect is the assumption that tech is for some geeks, very smart people, and the assumption that for you to do this, you need to learn how to code. And there has been a lot of fear. I think it's still the same thing like how a lot of people feared maths. When we were growing up, we were so scared of maths. I think until when the calculator came, it started making life much easier. And I think that fear is still there, it's still real. There's so many kids who just think they can't do maths. We think STEM is for some very smart people. We can't do it. Right now, when we're talking about AI, it's not, we're not talking about this, we all have to be programmers. It's not about that. You don't have to learn how to code. You can literally build a website without using a single code. Something super easy. You can create that content, you can start a newsletter, you can start blogging, you can start singing, you can start a podcast. So many use cases. that you don't have to break the bank, you don't have a special skill. What needs to happen is that mindset shift, the can do attitude, to want to change your life, to want to improve what you're doing, to be keen to embrace the creator's economy, which is it's not something, it's not a wave that's coming and going. No, this is it. The gene is out of the bottle, it's not going to go back. This is where we are, and there's so much we can do with it and create jobs. Does that
I
answer
think
you?
it does. And as you're answering my question, I'm thinking of, what are the opportunities that are available to young people? And I love the examples that you've provided of supporting the local school. The teachers with different things, making things easier by using and applying technology. But I'm also thinking, and a couple of weeks ago we were celebrating, was it last week? We were celebrating World Environment Day. And one of the things that we all have everywhere is waste. We have a lot of waste, and there are some very clever people who make sure that they recycle the waste that they have so that they can sell it. So I understand that there's still an entity, albeit it's in Khabroni. I don't know if they're available in other towns, but again, use AI to look it up, where you can collect your tinned um, waste, your cans, etc., and you sell it. They actually buy it from you. And so, imagine in every village, if there's a child who is so concerned about the amount of waste generated in their villages, and they use AI. I mean, the simple thing would be to obviously recycle and sell where they can, but then somebody who's very creative can see what else can we do with all this waste. Is it possible to actually create a small business from some of this waste that's generated? One example that I'm aware of, and yes, it's probably more complicated, it's not simple, but it's worth taking a look, is plastic, using plastic bottles to make bricks. I believe it's in Ghana, where they make bricks and then they make houses. So it doesn't matter that it feels or it sounds like something that's just not possible. The other thing that I know about Botswana is that there are mechanisms that have been put in place to support business ideas. And some of these institutions have offices in almost all the big villages. So it doesn't hurt to try. What is that saying? If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough, something like that. Even though sometimes I wonder. But anyways, I think, it's just what it takes is for you to get up and start. And when it comes to waste management, it's a huge opportunity that's available to anyone, because we all generate waste. So, in terms of ideas for what young people can get involved with, I think the ideas are there. In terms of what AI can do, just from the basic research that is required, it's also there. So, where now you will be able to guide, Miss Kim, is for those people who are, the creatives, those who want to produce music, those who want to get into the fashion world, sustainable fashion, etc. How is it that they can use AI and technology to further their business ideas?
I like that. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Yorichia. These okay. So the reason, like, just first unpacking the whole thing of anyone can become an entrepreneur if they so wish right now. These tools are making it very easy for us to access information. I'll take, for instance, my example, even something that I don't understand very well. I just get online and research, because AI can create for me a business plan. It will do my SWOT analysis. It will specifically give me data on, I want to start a boutique. I want to start a clothing shop. I want to deal with African couture. And I want to understand how is the market in Gaborone. So to first give me within that specific demographic, what's the population? Are you asking something?
No, I was correcting your pronunciation.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'll be doing it in Francistown. So So to tell me, Francistown, the population of the city is X. We have 100,000 people that live in the city. We have people that want to go to offices looking nice and smart, 50,000 of them that would want to dress smart. We have 50 weddings coming up in the next 3 months. We've seen them because it has collected that data on social media. This is the best fabric. This is the season. So this is winter. So if you do some African print, the German print that we love so much for weddings, and you do some very nice jackets, and these are the 50 boutiques in the city. These are the names of those boutique owners. So if you first start with creating a sample and send it to these boutiques, you will test the market. And these are the social media pages that everybody is frequently visiting in Francistown. Francistown is a TikTok market, it's an Instagram market, it's a Facebook market. These are the 10 influencers in Francistown. So if you go to these 10 influencers, you just make one jacket, you give it to them, they wear, they get online talking about it, or they go and MC. AI will still tell me there's a big event coming up on 20th of June, and just get the big celebrity to wear it at that event and mention your name. So there are just so many use cases that AI simplifies, even businesses that we don't understand. Of course, it's very important. Try to start with something that you identify with, you have some interest, maybe sometimes a little bit of some skills or some passion. It doesn't mean that we will always be lucky to do things that we love. We need to consider the market and pay attention to what does the market want. But then it's super, super easy now than ever before to become an entrepreneur, to build a business, nurture it. AI will even tell me that this is the best price for your product. You want to start with Letici jackets? I don't think you can sell them for more than 200 pula. The market will not be ready for that. The income bracket for people in Francistown is this amount of money. And these are the biggest companies. It's a mine town. These are the 10 mining companies that are there with people that are earning more than 20,000 with disposable income that then can look into buying your jackets. So, case closed, my business done.
Wow, you make it sound so easy, but I think, giving enough information to say just as a start, if you get into AI or whatever, the different what are they called? The different platforms
Language
available to do
learning.
your
Yes.
research, right?
Mm.
That you'll
Mhm.
be able to find everything. I think the only word of caution, and I believe AI will tell you itself that it can make mistakes. So you need to cross check
Mhm.
some of the things. And there's always references that you can go to, whether it's government statistics offices or whatever. But Miss
Yeah.
Kim, I don't know if it's too early to get into this. I know that one of the platforms that you appreciate greatly is LinkedIn. And
Mm.
um, I know that within LinkedIn, there are, I don't know, millions of people who are on LinkedIn. And therefore, there are so many opportunities that are available to you there, whether
Mhm.
it's finding mentors or people who are trying to do exactly what it is that you're doing. Maybe
Mhm.
if you can, and you'll tell me if it's premature, if this part of the conversation is premature, because I feel sometimes young people get frustrated. They don't feel that they're getting the support that they need from the community that's around them. They're not quite sure where to go. Doors are closing in their face. They don't know what to do next. So is there a space within this technology world, within AI, that young
Mhm.
people can go into to try and find some relief, whether it's for mentorship, whether it's just to bounce off ideas? Can you maybe speak to that a little bit now?
Yeah, and yes, and I get it. Sometimes things that come natural to us, sometimes we assume it's easy for other people. Like just get on LinkedIn. And I know I appreciate it's not that easy. I have met big personalities that will actually tell me, I am so scared of being on LinkedIn. And I'm not very comfortable with Facebook, but I feel very comfortable on LinkedIn. That's home to me. One of the things I love emphasizing on is it's nobody promised life is going to be easy. Nothing will be presented to us on a silver platter. If it was easy, everyone would do it. I don't remember, but maybe it wasn't easy for me to start getting very active and fall in love with LinkedIn. Maybe by then I was in a situation that that didn't matter. I needed to understand how to use the platform. So my biggest encouragement to young people is you need to nurture and try to understand how to communicate effectively. I get every day, I have somebody coming to me on, can you help me with this and that? And sometimes you can get inundated with so many inquiries, but there are some that package themselves looking very serious. And this is simply back to, I get very disappointed when people show up for interviews looking like they've just woken up. Like, really? These there are things that this day and age we don't want to discuss. Like some of those things, it doesn't matter what background you come from. You need to know it's important to brush your teeth, get your shirt ironed, look like a proper human being. There's no excuse for if you can't do your hair, just cut it. You look neat, just cut your hair. But when you show up so skimpy, you don't look ready, then I also don't have time for you. But you, when you come, you present yourself so nicely. I'm going to listen to you. I have so many youth that I mentor on LinkedIn, and I get so excited when you start with just come polite. Good morning, Miss Kim. How are you doing today? I've read your content, and I'd like to understand how can I also learn how to post or to tell stories like you do? I'm looking for a job. I've not gone to college. I only did Form 5, but I'm stuck at home and I'm getting miserable and I'm getting desperate. Ask, be modest. There are so many of us that are looking for people to hand hold because even us, we had the community raising up to the occasion and supporting us. And the community has not stopped. I have people that I consult every day. I have my mentors. Doesn't mean I've ticked all the boxes. I'm still work in progress. There's still things that I get so stuck with. Excuse me. So them just getting to know a lot of successive people feel like they owe it to the world for the world to be successful. Hardly you get a successful person who doesn't want you to succeed. They feel like they have a duty to help you because once somebody succeeds, we forget the pain and go like, I can't believe I'm here now. So how can I support somebody else? Right? And I'd love also to emphasize on volunteerism. I love you that come to me first asking to volunteer. I get so touched. You're so humble, you even want to work for free. And I don't allow them to work for free. I'll give a small piece job. I'll tell you just can you create a blog for me? Just write one article. Let me see how you write. Where then we start struggling is if I have to start teaching you work ethics, that if we say we're meeting at 8, let 8 be 8. We love our culture, we love our traditions, but some of those things don't help us. When we think it's not important for us to keep time, when we think it's not important for us to be respectful. But there's a lot of help out there. There are so many communities, there are so many spaces that you can go and ask
Okay.
for help and you get support.
So, what I wanted you to do, Miss Kim, is just that the word community. So, the word community and how it's understood on LinkedIn. Let's say we have a young person who loves making jewelry, okay,
Mhm,
and who loves making jewelry using um, things from nature. I actually know somebody who used to do that. She used to make beautiful earrings from, she would take the dried uh, um, pods, the
mhm.
pods,
Yes.
yeah, the seed, that. And she would do something to it to preserve it and then make these very interesting earrings. And she used to make all kinds of things using things from nature. She'd go and collect.
Mm,
So, she's somebody who I believe, I don't know now, but many years, well, a few years ago, she had the talent, and once in a while she'd come out and sell some of her things, or she'll showcase. But I
Mhm.
believe that she has so much potential to do so much more. So let's just use her as an example. If she went onto LinkedIn, now she's looking for a community. If you can
Mhm.
explain that, how does she go about finding that community of people who are doing similar things, who are perhaps sitting in places where there are big markets for things like that in Europe, or Canada, as an example? Where does she start?
I love that question. So, this is what happens, especially on LinkedIn. And I think it happens on all social media platforms. Social media, it's honestly a gift that keeps giving. You don't get on it with the mindset of fast, what can I get? You give back. So let's say today I've started making that jewelry. I make my beads. I'll first post on LinkedIn and tell my story. I love making beads, and this is how I make my beads. I'll post a picture or a little video of me making my beads. And I'll close with a question. Would you like to know how to make beads? If I made for you very nice beads, would you wear them? In your community, do you have some traditional tools, resources that you use and make something traditional, something that's very authentic? This is creating a better environment. It's very just give some added value to your content. Tell a beautiful story. From there, I will connect. I'll search on the LinkedIn platform and I will look for anybody who is interested in jewelry. Because you can go to the search bar and search anybody who is interested in who is in that space of jewelry. Then I'll put a little message. Good morning, ma'am. How are you today? I love making beads. What do you think about this piece of necklace that I made? Don't sell. You're just sharing. You're just making a rapport, a conversation. Then this person in most cases will connect with me and want to have a conversation. What's going to happen? I start posting 2, 3 days, day four. The algorithm brings me everybody that is making jewelry. That becomes my community. Then I start seeing we have groups on LinkedIn. So I start connecting with those specific groups for everybody who is in that jewelry business. And I join the group. Where we go wrong is when we just want to receive and not to give. So I'll start sharing my knowledge. This is how I dry. I wake up 6 in the morning, I go under the tree, I pick those beads, I dry them. This is how I dry them. After I dry them, I start sewing them. I look for strings, I do this and that. Tell your story. The world wants to hear from you. Give back. So within 1 week, I have so many connections. Now I can start asking, I want to monetize this. Who is buying jewelry in your community? Do you have a boutique? How about if I can ship to you a sample of my necklace? Can you pay me $10 for this? Please, can you connect me with others who can buy? That is literally how I sell my courses. I don't go with, I'm selling this course, I'm selling this book. No. I start with, I give a lot for free. I even give free ebooks, I give free courses. Then I create a relationship. A lot of people, by the time they're actually buying from me, I have not told them to buy. If you watch my content, I maybe I post buy once a week. I give my testimonials. A student that I've assisted who is very happy with what they're doing. I talk about the benefits.
Bless you. Sorry. I think whilst hopefully you have a glass of water, Miss Kim, or maybe you should get one. But I think I just wanted to comment on the importance of developing relationships. So developing relationships is not just restricted to physical relationships that you have, within your neighborhood or your community, or even in your professional area, in your profession, in your field. But it's something that's based on what you just said. It's something that you also have to do within the LinkedIn network, is start developing relationships with people, and based on sharing knowledge and information and your story and your passions, so that you create that rapport. And that makes it easier. And then when you think about real life, that's what you do. You develop relationships with people so that you're able to work with them on a long term basis and continue to exchange. And, that exchange eventually, yes, will put money in your pocket. But I think it's such an important point to emphasize to anyone who's beginning their relationship on LinkedIn, to say, what is it that you have to offer, especially now if you already know what it is that you're passionate about. So we're talking about somebody who's already sort of set in their passion. But then again, from what I see, what happens on LinkedIn is that you may start seeing other things that will create or develop a secondary passion for you. So it becomes an opportunity now to explore different income streams, if I can call it that. And I remember from the podcast that we had a couple of weeks ago, Miss Kim, you started talking about, from that product that you're developing, you then now, to stick to this example of jewelry making using natural products or things from nature, you then develop some kind of course to show people how it's done. So somebody who's living in a place like Shagawe or Maun will have access to very different types of things from nature. So developing a course, something that somebody else can use to make jewelry elsewhere. From that, you can now start writing your book. And then eventually, you're not only do you have a course, you also have a book. Then you start, selling the book. And so you become an expert in that field because you've done multiple things with it. You're not just producing the actual jewelry, but you're also now teaching people how to make the jewelry. And you have a record in a book of your journey and how you started, where you started, and what fueled your passion. So I think it's just very exciting because what you're doing, Miss Kim, is showing us how you can build a fulfilling a very fulfilling career, um, business, something that's not just going to feed you because you're making money from it, but also something that's going to fuel other people's passion. So I really like the way you explain, how you can develop something that's very wholesome. I didn't see you taking a sip of water, so I don't know if you're ready to come back.
I am so ready. It's important that we ensure we are creating passive income. That's what gives you financial freedom. It's very, especially this day and age when it's so easy to create a website. There's nothing that excites me like when I wake up and find a poster. I have some posters that I sell $2. Sometimes I give them for free. Sometimes I sell them. I have specials once in a while when I'll open my portal and people can download them, print them for their children or for their classrooms. Same with my ebooks. But it makes me so happy when I wake up and find just $2 in my PayPal account. This is something I created 5 years ago, and it's still selling and selling. And then
Okay, so I think one of the other things, Miss Kim, and she's alluding to that now, is when you start selling different things or creating different things, you now have, I don't know if I should call it a warehouse, but you have a a place. I'm going to call it a warehouse because that's what I know. I don't know what it's called on social media platforms at the moment, but where you're now able to from time to time give. so that people remember you and who you are, and you attract people back to yourself, right? So I think it's something that people who are in education, and I know, Miss Kim, over the years you've created a lot of different things. And but what it tells me, I mean, from the many sessions that you've given, you always come back to that. You always come back to the opportunity that you have as an entrepreneur to create something that will educate other people. You know, it's interesting how sometimes you'll meet people who are very cagey about the work that they're doing. They don't necessarily want to share because they feel if they share, somebody's going to steal their idea and run with it, and then they will lose. You have a very different view of that, which I find very interesting. Okay, sorry. I just saw something flashing across the screen that I haven't seen before. Um, and maybe we can address that at some other time. But the focus, I think, now is on, you know, developing that the skills that you have, identifying the passion, and perhaps some of the challenges that people within your community have. And when it comes to education, Ms. Kim, and just knowledge sharing, there is so much. I think within each community, you know, there's something very unique about the different places that we're from. So, for example, right now, Miss Kim is coughing. She's just recovering from a very bad uh, case of flu. And you know, knowing her, she doesn't like to sit still, so she needed to get up and do this podcast. And we were hoping that she'd be okay, but I think she's done well so far, right? It would have been nice to have somebody acknowledge that, but yeah. But in terms of, you know, flu, there are things that, and we've exchanged this by telephone. You should do the garlic concoction. You should do this, and you should do that. And you know, that's another area we touched on it last week, where indigenous knowledge, when it comes to some of the medication that we should be using, as opposed to using stuff that we buy off the shelves in pharmacies, full of chemicals that we don't know. There's simple things. Well, for us, maybe for our grandparents, simple, for others, not so simple, that you can use to steam, to help your chest, to relieve the coughing, etc. And this is where now people who have the benefit of sitting in different communities, who have the benefit of having the elderly around them, is to try and start getting that knowledge to say, okay, what is it that we can do with this knowledge that you have? Um, so yes, I just thought, I was hoping you'd have a cup of something next to you that would kind of help you out. We're almost there. We've just got 15 minutes to go. I'm gonna yield back to you, Miss Kim.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a flu season, so maybe it's acceptable. It's winter. But you mentioned something on the whole thing of keeping this is my idea. I don't want anyone else to know what I'm doing. They're going to copy. It's a very dark world to live in. I've seen a lot of opportunities come my way for opening my palms. There's so much you receive by giving. Information should be free. Share out. What matters is what someone does with it. Right now, the internet is flooded with free courses. Literally anything you want, you get it for free. But free courses have not been successful. Not even free, I mean, online courses have not been that successful. People still want the human touch. And that's where, as we worry about AI taking jobs and stuff like that, no, there's still that the emotional attachment we get, the feeling of, I spoke to Miss Judith and she said this, and she's repeating what AI tells me, but it has a difference. It has a different meaning when it comes from another human. Same thing. We tried with COVID. COVID taught us we can work in isolation. We started remote work. But a lot of companies have gone back to workspaces, getting back to offices. Yeah, I am still a huge campaigner of remote work, especially right now as we look at youth who are jobless. There's a lot of work you can do virtually. You can be a virtual assistant for a company that's in UK. You can be writing a blog for somebody you've never seen. You can do a website for somebody you don't know. You can be a PA for that person. However, that interaction with humans, it has its pace. So when you share out the course that you're working on, the business that you're incubating, it's sort of the universe opens up and comes to support you. When you lift others, you support somebody else who is struggling in business. It doesn't have to be that person who will come and help you. Don't help those who have the ability to help you. And don't help with expectations that they'll come back and help me. You can't even remember, you can't even tell where your blessings come from. Somebody else from God knows where. I've seen so many people who support my work, especially on LinkedIn, that literally every day somebody tags me on an opportunity. And sometimes I look up that person and say, I don't know this person. I've never spoken to this person, but this person has chosen to be your cheerleader. I have one lady, Amy. Amy, I hope you're online listening. Amy sort of was put on this earth to support my initiatives. Literally every other day, Amy will talk to somebody and say, right now, Amy wants me to be involved in a project in Ghana for something I totally don't understand. Amy, I hope you're not listening. It's very exciting because it's about growing fish farming with hydroponics. Very exciting. Somebody in UK is doing that project in Ghana. Amy told that person, don't do anything in Africa before you talk to Sally. I was so embarrassed because I don't even know much about that. Of course, I'm very excited about anything to do with food security for the continent. But that is Amy for you. We have Miss Yodit as well, constantly. These people are looking for a speaker. Talk to them. Miss Grace, Miss Paula. And there's nothing that I give to them. No, it's literally you showing up every day and you're supporting others, even just that content that you create, that you tell your story, you're motivating, you're inspiring others, you're giving back to the community. The world comes up, shows up, and gives back to you. So, obviously, yes, there are some cases where you need to safeguard your IP. There's intelligence in safeguarding your intellectual property because there are obviously some skills or something, some software, anything. It could be any project that you've come up with. You're burning the midnight oil. It can still be, you can't be that naive also to keep on presenting everything to the world. But there's some skills, just share. There's so much gratification as well from supporting people. It's my pride when I see somebody that I've groomed come be on LinkedIn, learn, do something, and you see them showing up and doing it. You actually you when you give, you receive more than the person you've given. Yeah. So it's something I can only shout from the mountaintop and encourage. Keep giving.
No, absolutely, Miss Kim. I think that's a whole other hour of conversation. The virtues of kindness and giving back, and how you get it back multiple times, over the course of your life and your career. I think, this one thing that I would like to ask our listeners, young people who are attending, watching this, is it would be wonderful to know what is it that they would be most interested in hearing from yourself, Miss Kim, as somebody who's been, in the entrepreneurship space for decades now. Okay, I'm not trying to reveal your age, but you've been working as a you've been working as an educator, but you're also an entrepreneur, and you've done multiple things, and you're not afraid to try new things. So it doesn't surprise me when you share something very new and interesting. Almost on a weekly basis, there's a new opportunity that comes to you. But it would be wonderful to have some guidance from those who are listening in. What is it that they would like you to delve into? I can ask all kinds of questions and get you to share information that's I'm curious about, but also what I think I understand of those who are currently trying to either start a business or manage their business more efficiently, or people who are just stuck. There's a lot that we can converse about in these podcasts, and I really appreciate that you're taking the time to do this, because there's a lot of information that you have, and I'm hoping that with every podcast, the seeds that you're planting begin to grow somewhere and somebody's running with it. But I know that we do have curious people. So if you could kindly share some of your thoughts and questions, DM Miss Kim directly. She's known as Africa's STEM Queen, but you can't miss her. On LinkedIn, you can look for her and just, give some feedback on these podcasts and what it is that you'd like us to talk about more. So I think on that note, Miss Kim, I think from me, once again, it's to appreciate your kindness, your willingness to come and speak to some of these topics, even when you're not feeling too good. I feel, that's something that not a lot of people do. And I'm praying that as these podcasts continue, people who have interesting bits of information and knowledge to share will put their hand up and say, please, can I join you for these conversations that you're having? I love them. I love prodding, and then, finding out more, but also making sure that as we share, we also talk about some of the things that we need to be wary of. And today, for some reason, we didn't even get there. So, which is a good thing. We'll leave it till next time. So, thank you so much, Ms. Kim. I look forward to the next conversation. And for those of you who have been joining us, please join us again next week, Thursday. We also work together on something that we call the Happiness Tribe. It's a company that we've created, and we have a podcast every Sunday at 5 o'clock Botswana time. So please join us for that as well. We'll be happy to hear from you. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Sorry, let me not let you go so quickly, because I know you. I love your passion for technology. It's grown on you, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm quite excited, and I know you've put together a workshop for mature people. Would you please like to explain? Do you explain a little bit about that? It's coming up. It's going to be in person, and I think it's
Yes.
very exciting. Literally, it's we need help, even our age group or older, to automate processes in their business. Please explain a
Yep.
little about it.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Yes, this was the idea was conceived last year, and it was really to address something that I mentioned earlier, and that is, supporting the small business person who is a one woman, one man show, does not have time to address certain things, and does not understand how technology can help them. This workshop, which we've called Tech Up Your Business, is supposed to, or it's going to provide the information, the knowledge, and the skills that a business person requires to be able to run their businesses more efficiently. So, we want to use that day to unpack some of the platforms and the technology that is freely available, and then maybe delve into some of the subjects a little bit deeper based on what it is that our audience would like to hear. So that is really the main reason. And it's to try and alleviate some of the struggles that entrepreneurs have. And they, because they don't have the sufficient resources to be able to hire for all the positions, but also becoming very excited. And this is myself now becoming excited about what technology has to offer. And so, for those who are already running businesses, this will be a really good workshop to attend. It's going to be the first one of what we hope will be many. We're also very mindful of health and wellness issues, and it's something that we would like to address in future workshops. So, how is it it that you can become a successful entrepreneur, a one woman or one man show as you are, utilizing technology to make sure that you manage everything as efficiently as possible. And also, come and meet other people who are in the same space as you are, people who are really working hard to make their businesses flourish, but somehow they're not quite getting there. Sometimes meeting somebody who's got the same struggles as yourself helps, because you've got somebody to reach out to. So if you have any questions for us about this workshop, please feel free to ask. As I said, I think both of us are available on LinkedIn, and details are there in terms of contacting us. And the workshop is scheduled for the 27th of June. We're hoping that we will get a sufficient number of entrepreneurs to join us. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you there and having you become part of this journey that we've embarked on really making life easier for entrepreneurs who are managing or trying to manage businesses on their own. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to our listeners. Please put on comment section what you'd like to learn more from us, and of course, tell us if this has benefited you, and if you would like to have a private consultation where you want some coaching, you want us to help you. It could be automation of processes within your business. It can be change management. We also have Miss Yodit, who is an expert on sustainability, resilience, and all that stuff, environmental awareness. And she's a phone call away. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the week. See you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.